Hi everyone, this is Boomer for Caravel Gaming, and today we'll be continuing our campaign run through with the Sliver deck, and we are up to Alara.
Ramaz spoke of a furred goblin dracomancer who lived on a volcano. The goblin could scry with fire, using an enchanted gem shard. The only place I know with dragons and hairy goblins is Jund, on the plain of Alara. Find the shaman, see what he knows about Ramaz, and bring me that shard.
So I'm sure what most of you are thinking at this point if you're Magic players is, oh good, more Jund. However, I think we're going to lay some smack down on Jund, which is something that many decks throughout many formats have not managed to do for a long period of time. Okay, so on to Jund, and in this case taking on some Thalids. Decent enough opener. Because of the rampant growth we do have access to our red, so I'm going to keep that. I also play first. This is pretty good. Okay. And this is going to be the focus of his deck for the most part. Tuckatung Thalid. When it dies, put a 1/1 green sapling token onto the battlefield. So it's going to be remarkably annoying to get rid of most of his creatures. Well, that changes my game plan a little bit. I was thinking about rampant growthing. I still can rampant growth and then next turn drop 2 predatory slivers. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. It does mean that I miss out on an attack, but I would probably at most kill one of his Thalids, and that's about it. Okay, he's attacking for 1. And he plays another Tuckatung Thalid. So he's definitely got shields up at this point. Thorncaster Sliver's a great draw. So I'm going to make 2 predatory slivers here to give me a pair of 3/3s, which are a bit better than his pair of 1/1s. And if I draw land next turn, I'm pretty sure this game just pretty much finishes. Or maybe not, because that's a sprouting Thrinax. Anyone who's familiar with Jund from when it was in Standard knows that this is a complete pain to deal with. When it dies, he gets 3 1/1 green sapling tokens, and he's a 3/3 for 3 as well. So, pretty efficient monster. Right, so I do draw land, so a couple of choices here. I can make my predatory slivers 4/4s. Still doesn't mean I can attack though. I think the best port of call at this point is just to build up an army. So I'm going to cast predatory sliver. I'm then going to rampant growth for a mountain, and I'm going to play plains as well. What this does is it gives me the ability to just top deck another toughness booster, or a just one of my hugely overpowered slivers, and he's attacking for 3. That's interesting. Often the computer will have a trick at this point, but because I've got Thorncaster Sliver in hand and can pretty much lay waste to his side of the board, I'm just going to skip blocking and take 3, rather than risking him having some sort of trick and killing one of my predatory slivers and replacing his 3/3 as well. Okay, well, I don't see much point in not doing this. Let's make Thorncaster. Attack with my army of 4/4s, and I'm going to kill his Thalids. Admittedly, they'll come back, but you know, they lose some of their abilities when I'm not exactly expending a card to get rid of them. And as you can see, they just replace themselves with 1/1 tokens, but those 1/1 tokens aren't going to do my opponent too much good here. Okay, he just chumps and he's going to take 4. So he's down to 11. You better come up with something pretty fast this turn. Okay, he makes another Tokatung Thallid. Which isn't really what he was hoping for, I don't think. The swamp. Anything else? Okay, he's actually attacking. That's weird. Again, taking 4 here actually has no downside from what I can see. Blocking could potentially be a problem if he has a spell that deals 4 damage to my guy. And yeah, he's pretty much just committed suicide. So let's just make sure that we do the maximum amount of damage we can, because as we are well aware, there's no greater skill than overkill. So let's just attack. Kill his blocker that's in the way. Well, sort of kill his blocker. Send the rest of the damage at his face. And that will be the first battle on Jun dealt with. Maybe the computer was hoping that I would block the Sprouting Thrine to give him more chump blockers, but really that attack was just terrible, and he ended up losing. He ended up losing pretty badly. So first enemy swept aside quite easily. And let's move on to the next challenge. That's Goblins in the Pass. As you near the volcano, you ascend into Jun's mountain crags. Suddenly you encounter a battle-hardened band of goblins defending the treacherous pass. They shriek war cries and shout epithets as they rush to attack. No goblins were capable of that. Now, this isn't the most frightening goblin deck you've ever seen if you are used to goblin decks in most formats. This hand's okay. It's a little slow because of the Terramorphic expanses, but it's not exactly terrible either. I'm going to get a Forest first because I want access to Predatory Sliver on turn 2. Really holding up Path to Exile this early in the game isn't something that I'm going to want to do. I don't want to accelerate him this early in the game. And he makes a Goblin Mountaineer, which is just a 1/1 for 1 with Mountain Walk, meaning that I more than likely won't be able to block it for pretty much the entirety of the game. Blur Sliver's a good draw, although my mana is a little clunky at the moment, so let's just put the Predatory Sliver out there. Also means I can't block his 1/1 now, so he's going to be able to get in for some cheap damage. And he makes Dragon Fodder, which is 1 colourless and 1 red, and he's putting 2 1/1 red goblins onto the battlefield. So I think you can see where the theme of this deck is. Rampant Growth's an okay draw here. I'm going to get a Plains with it. I'm going to make Terramorphic Expanse. I'm not going to attack. I am going to use this immediately though, just due to old-fashioned misclick equity. I'm going to get a Plains because it means that if I don't top deck a land, I can play Blur Sliver and hold up Path to Exile. And he just gets in with his little Mountain Walker again, so 1 more damage. I don't think he's going to beat me with 1 damaging. Goblin Rough Rider. It's just simply a 3 mana 3/2 goblin. Or more accurately, a Goblin Knight. Fiery Justice wouldn't go amiss here. Mirror Entity's okay for sure. Okay. Well, let's go with the plan. Let's make the Blur Sliver. And I'm going to sacrifice the Terramorphic Expanse and get myself a mountain. And I'm not going to attack because it'll just trade with a load of useless creatures, and I'm really not that interested in doing that. Next turn, either Battle Sliver or Mirror Entity. I think if I draw land, Mirror Entity is a bit better. Okay, he's attacking with those 2. I could block here for sure. Or use my Path to Exile, but I think for the moment I'm just going to skip blocking again. If I draw land and play Mirror Entity, he then can't attack. Or he can, he just attacked really badly. Okay, so I do draw land, that's really good. So options here are Battle Sliver or Mirror Entity. Battle Sliver would be a 6/4, which would hold off his whole team. Mirror Entity would have the ability to make all my guys into 4/4s. I think it's Battle Sliver, hold up, Path to Exile. So let's just get the mana right. There we go. So I'm just going to make Battle Sliver and hold up Path to Exile and say go. Actually, I'm not going to say go. I'm going to attack with my Blur Sliver because he can't block it and kill it. Paying attention, apparently. Brings the life totals into a bit more parity, but my guys are obviously much bigger. Okay, he's got a mountain. Does he have anything? Oh, that's very good. Goblin Chieftain. 3 mana for a 2/2. It has haste, and other goblin creatures that he controls get +1/+1 and have haste. So that is a fairly powerful spell. Let's see what he wants to do now. However, I think we're going to be able to blow him out here. Well, not quite. I think I've screwed up the timing here. No, I'm going to block, and then I'm going to Path to Exile his Goblin Chieftain, which will shrink all his goblins and make sure that I take less damage and the Goblin Rough Rider just gets munched by the Battle Sliver. So that worked quite nicely, and I think I just play out both my dudes here. And this attack is actually lethal, so yep. Can he stay alive if he blocks? Yes, he can go down to 2. Loses two of his guys, but he does stay alive. Okay, so that was pretty good, and our opponent I think is pretty much dead at this point. It's quite a nice blowout with that Path to Exile there. Okay, he plays another Goblin Mountaineer. That's really not very interesting. But yeah, there you go. Path to Exile, pretty good, who knew? Not even going to bother trying to get in that last point of damage. Okay, fair enough. Let's attack with all. And just for extra laughs, I'm going to pump as much as I can into the Mirror Entity. Oh, I missed a land drop as well. I only thought about it as I was attacking. So yep, standard complete and utter excess. and he's going to take 27 and die. So, on to the next one. And this next one that we're going to be going through is a heck of a fight. I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to beat this first up. Let you in on something, I have recorded this bit before, but unfortunately the sound wasn't of a very good quality, so I'm having to do it again. And I did beat it first time round, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it again. At the volcano's rim you hear mad chanting across the crater. The mountain begins to heave beneath your feet and lava bursts from giant glowing fissures around you. This isn't going to be easy. They're really not kidding. In order for me to win this, I think I need multiple Path to Exiles or Fiery Justices. This hand won't do it. Got to draw a new one. Shock, Thorncaster, Predatory. I think this is okay, but it's not brilliant. Let's keep the hand. I'll lay the mountain first in case he plays anything that I wish to shock. But yeah, this deck that I'm up against here is pretty good. Okay, he makes a Goblin Mountaineer. I am going to actually shock that. Reason for it being, it does... it stops me taking some damage, and this deck doesn't actually have that many targets for my shocks. Okay, gonna make a Predatory Sliver. I anticipate my creatures dying in a variety of horrible ways. He ends the turn. Fiery Justice is a good restart. I'm going to make Predatory Sliver, and in response he's going to Magma Spray my other Predatory Sliver. This deals 2 damage to target creature. If it would die, exile it instead. So yeah, before my Slivers make themselves 3/3s, he's going to destroy the first one. He makes Mountain, and he's going to Volcanic Hammer my other one. So that otherwise good looking start has just come to a bit of a grinding halt. Path to Exile's a decent draw, but now I've not got anything to cast, so that's a slight problem. Okay, let's continue. 4th land from him, and Lava Hounds. Lava Hounds is a 4/4 with haste for 4, which is pretty good. And when it enters the battlefield it deals 4 damage to its controller. So he's going to take 4 off his Lava Hounds. And he's going to be able to attack with his 4/4. But I'm going to Path to Exile it to stop any sort of damage shenanigans. Land is okay, it means I can cast this Thorncaster Sliver. I'm not convinced that it's going to live for too long, but at least my life total's fairly high at this point, and I'm not taking a phenomenal beating from his deck. Fire Elemental, it's just a 5/4 for 5. As you notice, everything in this deck is big, and because it's backed up by cheap burn as well, it means that my deck's in a bit of a mess under that circumstance. Interesting. Do I risk taking 5 or him cleaning out my team? Or do I just kill his guy? I think I just kill his guy. Okay, so that takes care of another of his big guys. And he's going to take 3 from the attack from my Thorncaster. And I do know he has a card called Volcanic Fallout in his deck, which is extremely painful for me. It deals 2 damage to each player. Another Lava Hounds, not very good. In fact, it's at this point where I'm wishing I held that shock at the beginning of the game. Shocking that Goblin Mountaineer might actually really cost me this game. Can't block, gonna take the 4. However, in the race, I am ahead, I think, here. Okay, I'm just gonna cast both my spells. I'm not even sure which land I want here, but I'll put it in play. And there's Volcanic Fallout, yeah. Figured he was waiting for it. So now I have 3 turns to find an answer for this Lava Hounds. My answers are basically Megantic Sliver, Path to Exile, Fiery Justice, and that's about it, I think. I think burning the shock early's cost me here because I could have held shock up and then shocked his 4/4 and being able to kill it. So that's definitely a mistake on my behalf, but you live and you learn. So I've got 2 turns now to find a way to deal with that 4/4. Okay. That'll trade with the 4/4, so I'm okay with that. Oh, but he has Volcanic Geyser, which... is he just going to straight up... No, he's going to kill the Boneside Sliver with it. If he'd have just waited a turn, he could have killed me with it, but... is Volcanic Geyser creature, or is it creature or player? It is creature or player, so... Yeah, if he'd have just waited next return, he would have just straight up killed me with that Volcanic Geyser. Okay, puts me on 2. And that's game over. I don't have a single top deck that can help me now. Yeah. And for rubs, it gives me a mountain. So we are going to concede. And we're going to look at what we can do as far as our deck construction goes at this point, because we are certainly not that well equipped to handle what that red deck is throwing at us. Titanic Ultimatum. No, Mirror Entity is a complete liability in this deck because it's a 1/1 and it'll just get murdered. So we'll get rid of that for sure. Steel Form Sliver might actually be quite good here. Fiery Justice kills his guys. Shock might be a card that's coming out. Thorncaster, 5 mana 2/2. Just doesn't seem very impressive. Well, we'll see what I want to bring in. Not Mirror Entity. Not Indestructibility either. Armageddon is definitely an option. If I get to go on the play, I can land a couple of quick guys and then Armageddon, but he does get early removal, so I'm not too sure how good Armageddon is here. We'll put it in as a contingency plan, but I'm not too sure how much I like it at the moment. Survival of the Fittest is a bit slow, although it could be useful for trading my smaller slivers for bigger ones. Lifeline doesn't help because he has sweepers. Unflinching Courage, if I can get that on one of my guys, will be good. Faith Fetters is actually something I really want at this point, because not only do I gain life, I can hold his creatures at a point where they can't attack or block, and at worst case I can always just throw this on a land to gain 4 life. Okay, so we have 8 cards potentially to come in. So let's have a look here. I'm actually going to remove the survival, it just feels too slow and random. Shock doesn't feel very good at this point. Striking Sliver doesn't either. I'll never get... combat pretty much doesn't happen against this deck in terms of creatures combating each other. Possibly taking out the shocks. I'm definitely taking out Thorncaster though, because 5 mana for a 2/2 just isn't good enough. Yeah, I don't think Geddon's going to work against this deck. It's got too much cheap removal. So we just need 2 more guys. Without Thorncaster Sliver, I think Hive Stirrings actually loses a lot of power as well. So I'm going to keep the shocks in order to hopefully make him kill his own creatures with Volcanic Fallout. So we will keep that. And we'll see how that does. So back to the campaign.
Ramaz spoke.
So irritated I lost that recording before, because I did manage to beat it first time around, and it was pretty much through a very similar game plan. I drew a couple of paths and then managed to kill one of his creatures when he cast Volcanic Fallout, and just managed to keep the pressure on enough. This hand isn't very fast, but I do have a Faith's Fetters and I do have a 6/6 which he pretty much can't deal with, so I'm going to keep this hand. I'm going to make Terramorphic Expanse and say go. As I say, I think I actually lost that last game due to my own negligence more than anything else. I'm almost tempted not to sacrifice this Terramorphic Expanse at end of turn, because it gives me, in fact I'm not going to, because it gives me a very slight extra chance of drawing another land, and of course we're immediately punished for doing it. So let's make the second Terramorphic. I'm going to get a forest and a mountain with both of these. Okay, he attacks for 1. And he ends his turn, so let's activate both of these abilities, get a forest and a mountain. Okay, and we draw a land anyway, cool. I think Blur Sliver just to make max use of our mana. And it also does get a little bit more damage in. Unless he has Magma Spray to deal with it, okay. So that's my Blur Sliver gone. He nibbles in for 1 again, that's cool. Good draw. So let's make the forest. I'm going to make Steel Form Sliver. Just means there's a few. It just means that Volcanic Fallout doesn't murder all my guys. So it depends if he wants to deal with it this turn now. And he doesn't. He's just going to make Lava Hounds and turn sideways, it looks like. So yeah, I'm going to take 5. Put me down to 13, but I do have this Faith's Fetters in hand, so good news from my side here. Plains is a really good draw. The problem with casting Faith's Fetters is that it means that my guy is open to Volcanic Hammer, which then means that I'm back under Volcanic Fallout. However, I'm at the point where I'm going to start casting Megantic Slivers, so I think I'm just going to Faith's Fetters his 4/4, which gains me 4 life, and it also means that his guy's held down, and I'm just going to beat him up for 2. So it puts me a little bit ahead in the race. Does he have something this turn for me? Well, he has 1. That's something he has. My guess is he either has a removal spell or a fire elemental. Fire elemental it is. So now I've got to find a way of dealing with that. Terramorphic Expanse is actually fine. I'm going to make Battle Sliver. And I'm going to pass the turn. It's a little bit worrying that he still has his 5/4 in play at this point. Lava Hounds is a good draw. Question is what he's going to do with it, because if he attacks with both, I'm just going to take it and swing. Oh, that's not a good thing. Yeah, if he attacks with everything here, I think I'm just going to... Okay. I think I blocked the fire elemental here. My idea was that I was going to just take it, swing back and kill him, but that's not going to be enough. So, okay, I'm going to block fire elemental. I'm going to sacrifice this before I forget. Because if I forget, that would actually be a disaster. Take 5, go down to 11. Those two trade off. And then I make a 6/6. If he attacks with Lava Hounds this turn, really depends on how much mana he's got. He's actually only got 6 at the moment. So he Volcanic Geysers that for... Yeah, that was a bad play on his behalf. I don't know why he did that. Because now I'm just going to take the damage. Yeah, that was a terrible play by him casting that. So yeah, I'm obviously going to skip blocking because taking 5 here is just way better than losing my Megantic Sliver. So my guy lives. Faith Fetters is probably the best draw I could get here. Because now it means I'm no longer in range of just getting Volcanic Geysered out or something similar. And I can also cast this Predatory Sliver. Now, attacking for 7 here, yeah, we're obviously going to do it. Because now he can't just hold guys back and be okay to stop my guy. So, yep, whatever you've got, bring it. Volcanic Fallout won't do it. Puts him on 1 and kills his guy just for extra value. He's doing the old Magic Online thing of someone just casting the spells they have. Well, I'm going to do the same. How about another Megantic Sliver? It's what you get for not conceding. Take 18. So, with a tiny bit of sideboarding there, 8 cards, we got away with it and we've managed to take down the Lava Hounds. That's probably the most difficult match we're going to have until the end of the first campaign. But before we go any further, I've obviously got to reset the deck. You know what? I really don't like Mirror Entity at the moment. I think it's just really slow. So I'll take out the Unflinching Courages, take out the Faith's Fetters. Oh, I only boarded in 6 cards in the end, don't I? So I put my Striking Sliver back in, Hive Stirrings comes back in. Thorncaster comes back in. I'm actually... yeah, I'll put 1 Mirror Entity back in just as a concession, but I'm actually not very impressed with it. But then again, there are some terrible matchups for Mirror Entity it's not very good against. Okay, so the final matchup is Enter the Dracomancer. Or Dracomancer. Dracomancer? Where the heck did I get that from? And this deck that we're up against is pretty much based all around the mechanic Devour. What Devour does is that it allows you to eat your own creatures and get more damage. I will serve your innards to the great dragons, he shrieks apparently. Not great. And he plays first, and we've got... this is a nothing hand for the most part, so I'm going to draw a new hand. This hand's much better. Let's keep that. Fiery Justice is actually amazing in this matchup. Good draw. Let's make Striking Sliver. First strike always a useful ability if combat's going to be involved anywhere. And no play on turn 2, interesting. Well, I don't have anything that impressive on turn 2 either. I'm going to Rampant Growth. I think for a second mountain. And let's attack with my Striking Sliver. And he just takes 1 and we end the turn. I think our next turn might be a little bit more impressive. At least you'd hope it would be. Nothing on turn 3 either. I'm really surprised at this. Misclick there on the land, but never mind. Well, not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. He might have something like Volcanic Fallout or something along those lines, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to continue to put pressure on. You know, I really do need to put pressure on with this deck. He may be missing green, something that has just come to my mind. He doesn't have any green mana up. Well, let's see what happens. This could be a fairly anticlimactic end to this video if he doesn't come up with something very quickly, because he's dead next turn. And in fact, he's got to come up with something pretty special, because I have both Fiery Justice and Hive Stirrings potentially. And yeah, no green mana, so my guess is he's just stuck with a load of green cards in his hand. So I'm afraid this one's going to be a little bit anticlimactic, guys, but after the Lava Hounds match, I'm not really that bothered with it being too anticlimactic. And our opponent just straight up dies to us making guys for the first 6 turns. Never mind, I guess. Anyway guys, that is it for this edition of Let's Play Magic 2004. Next time we will be on to the City of Guilds itself, Ravnica, which is the final plane before the final boss. So, thanks very much for watching. This is Boomer for Caravel Gaming, and I'll see you next time.